So good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Keith Henry. I'm the president of the BC Métis Federation, and thank you for joining us for this monthly update from the BC Métis Federation for this, I guess, Thursday, November, Thursday, May 30th. So, it's hard to believe the end of May is already here, and summer is hitting us in full swing. So, you might notice the the sun shining in behind the banners. So, it's a very beautiful evening here in Vancouver, and I'm coming to you live from our office in Vancouver, British Columbia. So, I want to say good evening to all of our friends and our partners and our members across the province. And hopefully we're going to give you a good update on a number of issues and items and things going on with the BC Métis Federation, and of course our partner communities and members and program updates. So before we do, I just want to welcome our entertainment here from. I know we got a lot of our guys ready to go up in Terrace, BC. I want to say hi to Renee Therian.
Nice to be here, and we're doing well. Hopefully that we got some good tunes for tonight, so we're ready to go.
Well, that's great. Well, why don't we start the show with some good Métis music here, there, Mr. Therian?
I'm going to play one in Kamloops. It was requested twice.
Great job there, Mr. Therian and band. What's the name of that song again for everyone watching online tonight?
Waltz Quadrille.
Waltz Quadrille. Yeah, that's becoming a favorite of our Métis events when we're out on the road. It's people like that.
Seems like it, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's very catchy. Well, thank you guys for starting the show off in such a great way, and really glad you're all with us here tonight. And we'll be coming back to you regularly for some music, okay? All right. Well, let's get right into it today. We got lots of information to go through. Speaking of which, I just want to say how much it was. Some of you have been with us. Renee, our vice president from Terrace, he didn't have his cohorts with him, as his musician friends with him this last weekend, but we just came through a number of community meetings. We've been doing Michif language workshops, specifically to help really immerse more Métis people into speaking the French dialect of Michif. And these are some of the snapshots. We were in Terrace April 27th, about a month ago. A couple weeks ago, they had a workshop here in Vancouver, and I want to thank all the members that came out. Of course, it was wonderful to have people there. And Clearwater on May 25th, specific to the workshop. So, lots going on. Renee, obviously you're spearheading a lot of the work that's done on these Michif language workshops. How was it being on the road doing Michif language workshops in Terrace, Vancouver, and of course Clearwater?
So far, it's been great. People seem to enjoy it. Clearwater was excellent. There was about 25 people there. They're all anxious to learn it, and I was able to help most of them. It was great.
Perfect. And yeah, it looked like there was a lot of new members, a lot of people that I didn't recognize a number of the folks in the photos. Did you find there was maybe more Michif speaking people out there, or do you find that we're really at a very beginner level for some of these communities?
Well, it seems like the more that we're moving forward, and there was lots of people interested. They were engaging, and they wanted to learn more. And when is the next program coming up? So really, it's picking up quite a bit.
That's great. Well, Don Woodcock here is online. He said, "Hey, say hello, all my friends and relations. Hey ho, I guess all my relations and friends." So I know Don, I'm sure is would have been at one of these workshops. I'm sure cheering you on for sure. Any specific? What do you think? We've been doing more and more the French dialect of Michif around our partner communities. What do you think the most important pressing way we're going to help teach Michif will be?
To me, I think is to have more programs and short session. Jeannie's doing an excellent job, and I like that BC Métis Federation actually is providing a lot of resource for that. And I think we're actually doing very well. And to me, I think we just keep going, and I hopefully that within a year or two we'll have more Michif speakers on hand.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm glad to keep up the good work. Obviously, we'll come back to you a bit more, but I just wanted to ask you specific about the Michif language. I mean, it was nice to see the workshops coming together. Do you know when your next Michif language workshop is for everyone here online tonight?
I think I did get an email from Jeannie, and Nova wanted to have one on the 4th of June, and I won't be able to make it. I got a doctor's appointment. So I don't know if they'll be able to change it or do something.
Yeah. I know. I think Jeannie's working. So our director of Michif language, Jeannie Cardinal, will be working with some other folks trying to get the Michif language program for Surrey area here in the near future. But I will have to. Yeah, I don't think it's going to work next week. It's pretty short notice, but I know we're going to work on that. So, but anyways, Renee, thank you very much. I just thought I would just check in with you on that. Just want to talk about a couple other things before we go back to our colleagues as well. I also want to thank, there was a lot of members that came out in Kamloops this past weekend. I know that I was able to get to that meeting, and I was great to meet some friends and family in Kamloops. And I really acknowledge all of our team members that were there, whether it was the research team or the coastal conservation group, or the employment and training team or industry. We did an open house this past Sunday in Kamloops, and it was great to see so many friends and that out. And Renee, you were there as well. So how did you enjoy the time in Kamloops?
I did. I liked it a lot because I met a young fiddle player, an excellent fiddle player. So I got his email, and we're going to exchange tunes now. So I'm looking forward to play with him.
Yeah, it's what was the young man's name?
Elton Parkin or Elton, I think. His first name is Elton.
Yeah,
Exton.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I got a song of you guys. I'm gonna actually put it on here a little bit. You were out there. It was similar to the song you were just playing. So I'm gonna put it up here for us to watch a few minutes of this young man fiddling. Oh, I forgot to turn that down. Mr. Vice President, we saw Exton there, the young man was flagging you on your, I guess, our left, or I guess he was actually on your right, live. Yeah, and we saw our director of research, Mr. Joe Desjardins, supporting you on guitar. So we don't want to scare your musician friends with you. But it was great to have you guys just periodically getting up and doing some music for the folks that were in attendance. But yeah, that Exton was a great young fiddler. So is he an up and coming fiddle player, Métis fiddle player? What do you think?
I think so. He's been playing for about 7 years. We were just jamming, and he knows a lot of fiddle tunes that I haven't heard, and vice versa. So we're going to exchange tunes, and excellent young fella.
Yeah, yeah, it was nice to see the group up there, and then I don't this the indigenous woman that was with us. It was just another local service provider. I forget exactly what her organization she was representing, but she joined in with the spoons, and it was a old time Métis kitchen party happening right there in the room. Yeah. So Renee, on that, why don't we take a quick break? Why don't you give us another Métis song with your colleagues, since we're starting off in so much culture with Michif language and talking about the event we had Sunday. Great job, Renee. Great job. What's the name of that song?
That song was written by Ryan Kipling, and he calls it Sonny's Two Step.
Great.
Excellent fiddle player.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you're not too shabby yourself over there with your colleagues either. Um, Renee, we got to go from the sort of positive culture to just the next story that I want to talk and update our members about. There has been a tremendous amount of online discussion about the identity event that the Manitoba Métis Federation with the Red River organization held in Winnipeg this past about a week and a half ago. Um, in Manitoba, obviously in Winnipeg, Manitoba, and it was with the Chiefs of Ontario and the Manitoba Métis Federation, speaking specifically about identity fraud and the Métis sort of identity of Ontario. And the Federation has come out with a very strong statement about that, and I'm just going to reflect on that for a moment with everyone that's online, because I just think that we need to understand what we're dealing with on some of these matters, because it gets at the heart. The identity politics we're starting to see in different organizations. Some people defend and think that the Manitoba Métis Federation or the Red River Nation is got their rights to protect their Métis identity. Others feel that this is gaslighting and the rest of it. So we at the Federation have come out with a very specific position on this, and it's been on our website. And I do want to just reflect on it for a quick moment, because I just think that, I want everyone here to understand sort of what we feel about what MMF is doing in this particular situation. And it is not a positive subject. So I'll just try and paraphrase it as best I can for everyone online tonight. So we released a statement here. It's May 30th. We released a statement on May 17th on behalf of the leadership of the BC Métis Federation and all of our members. And we just feel that the Manitoba Métis Federation's they're creating what we call baseless identity fraud claims of Ontario. And we're not friends with MNO. They don't talk with us. But what I think is dangerous and what we try to get across here in our media releases, that this notion that another province can say what one province is doing is identity fraud, and they can just go ahead and in light of the contradictions of the leaders of these same organizations 20 years ago and the positions they had at that time versus where they are today, I continue to feel that this is about MMF, or the Manitoba Métis Federation President David Chartrand and his I guess supporters want just the Red River or the Manitoba Métis Federation to really be the only government for the Métis in the country. I think that's fundamentally where they're coming from in all of this, and people can debate me all they want. These things continue to show me that there's a very political agenda here. So they had an identity summit. We'll go through that first, hosted by the MMF and the Chiefs of Ontario. Historic and contemporary Métis communities outside of the Red River were portrayed as fraudulent, with their members and citizens described as pretendians. The invite-only event did not include any Métis voices other than those from the MMF. The event focused its criticism not on real issue of non-Indigenous people falsely self-identifying as Indigenous, but instead on baseless claims that only MMF citizens are legitimately Métis. We go on in here, and I just wanted, like, this was my words obviously here, but we see this for what it is. It's an attempt to create a false equivalency between Métis people and so-called pretendians. That is not only a false comparison, but it's a dangerous one that denies Métis a right to exist as a distinct, proud people with verifiable roots outside of the Red River area. It's a sad repetition of colonial thought patterns and scarcity mentality of pits us against them, and we won't stand for it. And we've taken a strong stand. And again, this is we don't talk to MNO at all, to be honest with you. So this is really coming from the Federation saying that this is a dangerous thought that another province could tell another community that they're not a Métis. And you have the chiefs coming from another province into Manitoba, Chiefs of Ontario, to also be participant, and they don't invite any Métis voices, other outside Métis voices, to just try and explain or at least deal with. No one from MNO was invited, although they asked. So I'll come back to that in a minute. I just think I went on to say in here, it's incredibly disappointing that we've come to a place in Indigenous politics in Canada where we are forced to use the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples to defend ourselves from colonial-style attacks from other Indigenous groups in Canada. And that's true. Like, and what is Article 8 of that declaration that everyone likes? I hear a lot of people in the Indigenous world always refer to the UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. Well, let's read what Article 8 says. Indigenous peoples and individuals have the right not to be subjected to forced assimilation or destruction of their culture. States shall provide effective mechanisms for prevention of and redress for any action which has the aim or effect of depriving them of their integrity as a distinct people or their culture. Any action which has the aim or effect of dispossessing them of their lands, territories, and resources. Any form of forced population transfer which has the aim or effect of violating or undermining any of their rights. D, any form of forced assimilation or integration. Or E, any form of propaganda designed to promote or incite racial or ethnic discrimination directed against them. Well, I don't know about yourselves online tonight, but I can pick a handful of these specific, I guess, pieces of international legislation that absolutely this identity form is totally in violation of. I mean, so I guess we go on in here and we say the efforts of the MMF and the CO2, the Chiefs of Ontario, that is the COO, to erase legitimate Métis history and identity run contrary to many aspects of Article 8 of the United Native Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People, UNDRIP. Despite many of these same Indigenous leaders espousing the importance of UNDRIP when it serves them, they seem happy to ignore UNDRIP when they're attacking the Métis communities that they have decided are in conflict with their political agendas. Let's not forget, and we go on in this statement, Ontario shaped the court's analysis of Métis rights in 2003 in the Supreme Court of Canada and in the Crown versus Pauli, which proved Métis rights can and do exist in Ontario. Like, no matter what any of us say, Ontario is the birthplace of the Supreme Court Métis decision, which provided what we now know as the Pauli test and what it would take to, in that case, harvest a moose, what would need to be tested. And they won on every piece of that test in Ontario, in Sault Ste. Marie, which is not part of Red River. So I don't understand now they're trying to say that what doesn't matter, doesn't count. I don't, these same people fought with that. They supported that case. They invested in that case. They stood in trial. And I'll show you some pictures on this. So we know that there's been backlash from the Métis Nation of Alberta, Métis Nation of Ontario, and I'll come to a bit more of this. But I'm really concerned. What we put in here, these are all pictures of some of these very MMF leaders, you know, arm in arm with Métis Nation of Ontario leadership. Like this is former Métis National Council President Clem Chartier standing up speaking at a Métis Nation of Ontario annual General Assembly. There's the former president Gary Lipinski, legal counsel Jean Taillé. Here's David Chartrand himself giving at their AGA as well years ago, you know, looking as partners. This is Clem, Gary Lipinski. This is the former president, Audrey Puttroff from Alberta. This is the group of them again. This is when the Supreme Court case this photo was taken in 2003 with Clem. He was the president of the Métis National Council and the leading lawyer to argue that case. And in this picture, that's a young David Chartrand on the left here that you can see just gifting the Powleys and acknowledge them for their fight for Métis rights. I mean, it just blows my mind that this is being allowed that not being allowed, but that MMF is gaslighting and separating and trying to take over that are limiting who's Métis and who's not. So my concern is the Federation now. Why is this important to us? We don't want to get involved in their politics. It's important to us because it's clear they're going to do this probably in other places of the country. And if we think Métis is just one limited community as Red River, I think that's very naive. I mean, it's absolutely incongruent with where there's other established Métis communities in this country, historically and contemporarily. So we are very concerned about this, and our statement speaks to that. But more interesting, you know, just to also just touch on this a little bit more before we go back to another sort of song. There was an article that came out here just shortly after the forum in the CBC, and let's look at what how the media picked it up. So, you know, this is the president of Métis Nation of Ontario. President Margaret Froh says rhetoric at Identity Fraud Summit incredibly offensive and beyond gaslighting. And so she goes on in here in this article, and she says, like, Métis Nation of Ontario wasn't, they asked to be included. They weren't. They were actually excluded from the event. So how can this be fair to even hear or educate the people that are apparently having a discussion about Métis people in another province? I mean, there's so many ethical issues for me on this. But what I agree with her on, and again, I don't really agree with MNO generally in political terms, but it basically, she's describing, and the article describes that these forums are nothing more than like, it's a hate rally. It's basically saying, well, you're not really Métis, so we hate you and you don't belong with us. And you're not really Red River Métis. Well, that's fine if you're not Red River Métis, but there's other Métis. The Powleys weren't Red River Métis. So what are we talking about here? If the law, if we believe in holding up the law under Section 35 and Métis people have tested it and won, we have to really ask ourselves, where are these guys going in Manitoba? Oops, sorry about that, everyone. I accidentally just clicked out of that. Sorry about that. But anyways, long story short is that it's really disappointing for some of us. We know that the MMF broke from the Métis National Council in 2021, so about 3 years ago, and ever since then it's been this constant fight about who's Métis and the Métis in Ontario really aren't Métis and their registry's all wrong. Well, I don't know. I'm not in their backyard. I don't work in their registry, but I know this. They've been with the Métis National Council since the 1980s when it first formed. All of a sudden, 40 years later, they're trying to get rid of them. That doesn't seem right to me, and I don't think it's fair. And what I'm saying is, if MMF is allowing the Chiefs, bringing them into Ontario to go fight Métis in Ontario, who's next? What, they're going to fight everyone because that's they should worry about their rights in their province and their lands. Period. They don't need to come and worry about the rest of us and attack us. We'll deal with that with the courts. We don't. MMF. My family is a Red River descendant Métis person. I never elected him to speak on my behalf on this stuff. So I mean, I know it's a bit of a stretch to say that sort of stuff, but I'm just saying it really is infuriating to me to see how some of our own people are just creating all this havoc and watching government, skate in between all this and sit back and just watch everyone fighting. So I encourage people to get educated on this. I really feel You know, I don't know. I don't want to put you on the spot, Renee, but I don't know if you have any thoughts around what we've been seeing and witnessing with this, you know, hopefully just blows over. But I just find it so disrespectful to even know that the Chiefs of Ontario attended this in Winnipeg to talk about just to build a political agenda to get rid of the Métis Nation of Ontario. I don't know if you have any thoughts or not. I mean, we've come up with a strong position on it, but anything you want to share, Renee?
Well, I don't seem to get it because, 20 years ago, the five provinces, they worked together. And now Manitoba says if you're not from Manitoba, you lose your Métis right. I don't think that's correct. I think we should not go there.
Yeah, I don't, it's not, well, the law doesn't support that. The Pauli case has proven what the Supreme Court test proved it, and there's Métis and Sault Ste. Marie. We know that. That's not part of the Red River, nor did those people, all those families have connections back to Red River. So are we saying that they're not Métis anymore? What are we saying here? Like Métis is a concept. The communities have the right. It's like saying one First Nation is just one way of being First Nations. There are 630 plus First Nation communities, and they're all different. So I don't understand why we don't accept that Métis maybe aren't all homogenous as cultural people or as indigenous people in the way we define ourselves. So I don't know. I'm really upset, obviously, and I find it disappointing. But sorry, Renee, did you want to add anything to that?
Well, my grandpa left Manitoba in 1940. Would he lose his Métis right because he moved to BC? That scares me.
It's a very valid question. Like what, like, is it the only like there's so many questions about what MMF is doing and what David Chartrand's leading in terms of like gaslighting and creating this hate. Because I've seen the Chiefs of Ontario. We've shown on this show, particularly before a few months ago on Coffee Talk, some of the way the Chiefs were talking to EFN, and it was largely led by the Chiefs of Ontario at national forums, really negatively seeing the Métis as a problem, and under this false guise of identity fraud and pretendians, and like it's really whipping up this stuff. And I don't know, like I'm very worried about where does the line start and stop. I just find it very concerning to say the least. But Renee, I guess we carry on and do what we can, right? I mean, that's all we can do. So.
Exactly. To me, I think we got to carry on and hope for the best, and then do our thing, I guess.
Well, and it like all of us, we all have our history, right? I mean, you talked about your family coming out in 1940s. Well, my family, like here's my script. My great grandfather was Napoleon Henry. He signed for script. This is a copy of the certificate he did. It wasn't in Manitoba. It was in Saskatchewan. It was right at Batoche. They signed for this in Maple Creek. You can see the date here. In March of 1901, or roughly around that. Sorry, March 12th, 1901. He received $240. He got two script certificates behind this, and that's our family. But our family wasn't from, like, we have other links of our family that were in Red River. But what are you saying? So is it just a Red River there? Do they think that they control who my family was in Saskatchewan with script? Like, what are we saying here? Like, I don't understand what their ideology is on this. And I feel really, I am worried about where they're going with this. Like, what's the ultimate outcome of this? And I'm just willing to share my story because I'm proud of my Métis history, and I'm proud of it's documented. And many families didn't have script, but our family did. And that was, my family was there at the historic events of 1885, and, et cetera, et cetera. And so what does he think that just the Métis of Manitoba are just the only ones that fought for Métis rights? Because I'm not sure they were all the same people necessarily between even Saskatchewan and Red River at times. I mean, the history tells me there was some differences there too. So, I don't know. I'm really concerned about where this is going, and I do worry. I worry about it. I worry about what's going to happen with the younger generation. And, it almost feels like they're trying to race to this blood quantum piece, which is an Indian Act mentality. So I worry about the identity of Métis people in the next generation or two, given what I'm seeing today. So maybe I'm overreacting, Renee. Who knows? I probably am, but I hopefully that makes sense to some of the people watching tonight. Anyways, why don't we get a break from that, Renee? Why don't we hit us up with another song?
Okay. Turkey in the Straw. Right on.
Right on, guys. That was great. Turkey in the straw after that heavy conversation. Renee, why don't you can you give us one more? That was great. Why don't you do one more?
Hey, uh, let's see. Joy of Quebec.
Well, that picked up the beat of this show, that's for sure. The Joy of Quebec. I like that. That's very it's a very that song's been around in many of our celebrations for years. How long have you been playing that song for, Renee?
Pardon me?
How long have you been playing that song for?
That's one of my first songs that I've learned maybe a few years ago.
Okay. Yeah, I absolutely love that song. But yeah, I don't know. Sean, you guys have you played many of these Métis tunes or other sort of bluegrass style fiddling tunes before?
I started playing with Rennie 25 years ago.
Yep.
So yeah, I've played a few over that 25 years.
I didn't know you played. I didn't know you played. I didn't realize you guys were playing 25 years ago. That's great.
Well,
Yeah.
we started as teenagers, you know, so
Yeah, yeah.
it's been a while.
When each of you had a lighter blondish tone to your hair.
Change
Yeah.
the rinse.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I do have a couple other things. I do want to just before because I know I had someone just sort of ask me a little bit about my script, but just so everyone, I'm just sharing this only for the sense of just I was saying about my grandfather, my great this is my great grandfather Napoleon Henry is my dad's grandpa. He was born in Duck Lake around and you can see right there. I guess it was born the 19th of January, 1885. So he was a baby during the, obviously the events of 1885. His dad and mom were there. My great grandfather, Maurice Henry, and mother, Blandine Ross, script. And you can see the number they assigned C14975. So I find the history fascinating. And that's what bothers me so much about identity, because we have Métis people that live in Ontario that probably have a similar historical relationship. And then we have this whole other research of the Pacific Northwest or in Ontario, where they have the other Métis communities they've been researching for years. You can't deny that mixed blood rights-bearing community. And that's what we're trying to get our head around. And so, I find the history of our people very fascinating. And, I know, Renee, you have a very proud history as well of these things. And I don't know if anyone's seen, or I know most of our people here tonight would have seen some of those script pieces, if you will. But, I find that, for me personally, I find it very fascinating when you see the old script records. Like my grandfather, great grandfather, got $240, so they came in two pieces of script. One was 116, and the other was $80 script. So he didn't take the land; they took the payment. And in this case, obviously, you can see you can see the script itself, and it says right on there half breed and the rest of which everyone says, why do we call ourselves half breed? This was the term that was used. It was not really Métis at the time. It was actually half breed for my family. So anyways, I just find that history fascinating, and hopefully some of you today also can share a little bit about your histories and be proud of who you are as well. So I know, Renee, your family had a lot of script as well, did it not?
Well, I've never seen one, but they say that we had some, but I'm on, my grandmother was a Vandal.
Yeah.
And two of her uncle were prisoner with Louis Riel, so.
Yeah.
Joe found that out when he searched his, whatever he does there, best, and we found it, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of this is documented, and I would just say at the Federation, our membership team has done a very good job of sort of consolidating all of these resources, which really do, help people understand their history. I mean, even myself, I grabbed some of those from our own resources here in our department. So, get to know your historical facts, and because when I hear people say we're pretendians, because I've had people actually accuse me of that, I find that just like so uneducated and just we assume and what I don't like about MMF and the stuff they're doing is it's trying to erase that rich history of so many of our families. But anyway, I should get off that. I do want to switch gears. I'm very thankful to the organization as well, the leadership of the Federation. I want to thank people like Renee, and I know Roseanne's helping us this evening as the technical person behind the camera. I think she's hiding there in behind, but Roseanne off our leadership team. Our board acted very quickly. We had the wildfires happening in Fort Nelson. We don't know what the summer is going to be like, but we used our emergency assistance program to help roughly about 30 families right now, either individuals or families. There was a bunch of people that had to be evacuated out of the city or the town of Fort Nelson. The whole town was evacuated. We know some homes were lost. We have about 50 plus members in that area. And so we help families and et cetera. So we provided $250 for the individual if they applied, they didn't have family. If there was a family, it was $500. So I just want to say, just let obviously our membership know that we've done our best to continue to help support our members when we're dealing with very difficult situations. And I'm thankful to our health team and of course the leadership of just realizing that we just didn't wait for government or anyone else. We just went ahead and invested and tried to help as many families as we can. So again, thank you to the Federation leadership, and really appreciate that. Some of the other sort of things I want to talk about. We have some upcoming events. Those of you that we've been really working with artists and helping our Métis sort of, particularly the women I notice are really getting active. And here's a new workshop that's actually coming up for the women. It's Create Your Spirit Animal. Well, it's actually for all the members here. This is in this will be in it was held in Kelowna on May 4th, and it was a women-only workshop on May 12th. And so the first series of Métis women-specific program for the Federation. Special thanks to our board member, Louise Lambert. As you can see in the picture, there was a lot of folks there, and they did their spirit animal. And yeah, Louise helped guide them through that process. So again, great job to Louise and the team. Coming up, we will be doing the Métis women are working on a self-defense and situational awareness workshop. Registration's closed now, unfortunately, because it's full. So we know there's really significant interest in this. It's part of the Métis women work that we're doing. We have roughly 7 programs that our leader, Louise Lambert, who's also from the Kelowna area, is trying to help us kick off with many of our partner communities. So in Kelowna, it'll be June 8th, coming up shortly, 2 to 4 p.m. And Kamloops, June 15th, 2 to 4 p.m. So, just watch for opportunities, all the Métis women that are from different communities. I know we're trying to have Louise talk with different partner communities as well to bring some of these programs around the province, and watch for those opportunities to participate as Métis women from one end of the province to the other. Carrying on now, just the women's program. There will be a crime smarts information session. Space is limited, register now. So again, please, we've got this information on our events page of our website. It's June 5th from 7 till 9 p.m. And this is really just understanding the law, understanding, just finding your voice as Métis women, understanding how you handle this kind of crime prevention. So that'll be coming up on June 5th from 7 till 9 p.m. Carrying on now with a couple other things, we've got a drum healing ceremony on June 22nd from 9 to 11. So that's right around National Indigenous Peoples Day. This is going to be their recognition of National Indigenous Peoples Day at Marina Park, 4123 Galatly Road in West Kelowna. It's a Métis Association of Central Okanagan. This is open to everyone. If you want to get out there, please contact Mako and obviously look forward to seeing people enjoy and celebrate their Indigenous identity on June 22nd. Another big event I know, Renee, you're going to be at is another National Indigenous Peoples Day sponsored by the Federation in part, is the Family Jamboree. It's a Métis cultural gathering and music festival. That's coming up here in June 21st to the 23rd in Fort St. John. Admission is by donation, so families that can afford will always put a little in the box, and those that can't, don't feel, just come on in, you know. So Renee, I know you're getting ready to help contribute to the Family Jamboree. Any insight you want to share with us?
We've been practicing and I think we're ready, so we're looking forward to be there actually.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I hope to see, I know I'll be up there. I know some other folks will be up there. So let's looking forward to seeing a lot of our Métis members and just friends of the Federation partners, just getting out and enjoying the Jamboree here on National Indigenous Peoples Day. I know that we're all gonna, are you taking your trailer up or are you flying up? I can't remember.
I think I'll be flying, so I'll let you know within a day or two, because it's a long trip. It'll take me 9 days. By the time 2 days there, 2 days back, 4 or 5 days there. I think flying would be the quickest.
Yeah. Well, I know, that's just more or less just commiserating with you, but I know that this is being supported by the Peace Region Métis Community Association. So our Jocelyn Schick is is the president. She'll be there with our one of the leaders with the board there, one of our partner communities. And yeah, I just look forward to learning about it. And I would just encourage you to go to our events section on our BC Métis Federation website. All the specific details of the location and that are there. And please come on out. Make your plans to be there June 21st to the 23rd, that weekend. Now we've got a number of things on the coastal water protectors. I just want to say how incredibly impressed I am with the progress of this department of the Federation. You know, their monthly newsletter has just gone out. You know, in this edition, they introduce one of our new team members that I know I've referenced on this show last month and so forth, Tanner Oswald. And he's discovered the highlights of their most successful beach cleanup, learn about first tidal talk of 2024 held in Fort St. John, and so much more. And I just have to say, the coastal water protectors are really, really making strides. You know, I just have to share a couple videos that their team has put together just to help promote the coastal water protectors. And I'm just I just can't say enough how incredibly impressed I am with the work that they're doing to actually. So let me just show you. This is part from this is from their recent coastal. Let's look at one of the ones from the coastal conference. Renee, you might recognize yourself on this one. Okay.
My question.
Our waters, waterways, and surrounding land is not just for us, but a part of us. And we need to protect and preserve this gift for generations to come.
What we're simply trying to do, as many of you are contributing to today, is helping our Métis community to become better stewards and supporters of just good environmental practices.
The only one good thing that can come from being part of the problem is that we have the unique opportunity to also be part of the solution.
Thank you very much for coming. You're a great crowd and we do love you. Thank you for coming.
What do you think, Renee? Do you remember that coastal conference well?
Yes, I do. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there was a few events unfolding there, that's for sure. But I just want to congratulate the team on that reel. I do also want to say they did a youth retreat part of the coastal conference, and they put out a documentary, and I want to show some clips of that as well. Renee, one thing I thought about this video as they were doing this, I thought, wow, they sure have a lot of fun at the water protectors. I'm telling you, I think, Renee, we should become coastal water protectors. What do you think?
Yeah, by the looks of it, I would have enjoyed what they're doing. Even the scenery looks good.
Yeah, they went to Vancouver Island. I just have to say, what an amazing, like this, we're trying to use our coastal conservation to really teach water conservation, land conservation. I know there's been this constant, misunderstanding by some First Nation leadership that this is about asserting Section 35 rights. Well, what we're actually trying to do here is around contribute to conservation on water, land, etc. Right? And so I didn't start from the beginning. Maybe I'll just show a minute of the beginning just to really continue to provide that context, to that clarity that this happened just a few months ago. I'll just stop it there, Renee. The point of this is that there'll be a documentary on their YouTube channel, and we'll be sharing it out on the Federation pieces shortly. And what we want you to do is just realize this is what the coastal conservation work we're doing. And it's one of the many, oops, so pardon me, it's not, stop. It's one of the many things that this department is doing, and I'm just so extremely excited about it. And we're trying to work through this education process of coastal and water conservation, right? And so this will be part of a documentary that's from that retreat in 2024. Many of you online tonight would recognize some of the individuals, whether it was our staff or other people in there for certain, right? So I think it's great. I do want to also let people know as well, as we speaking of coastal conservation, we've got the Sweeping the Shore. It's coming up here on June 8th. It's one of their upcoming activities, sweeping the shores. It'll be at Neck Point Park, and basically you have to register for it. So make sure that at Coastal Water Protectors. So you can go through the Instagram handle at Coastal Water Protectors, and the link is there in their bio there. And of course, we would love to see people out. So that's in Nanaimo, BC. We're now gone from the Lower Mainland to Nanaimo, and that's coming up here right around the corner here in a week or so. So next weekend, look forward to people getting out, getting involved with the Coastal Water Protectors, and just doing more to try and help support coastal conservation throughout British Columbia. So just really proud of the work they're doing in the videos and that, and hopefully that gives people a good sense of what's happening. I don't know, Renee, I feel like I said earlier, I feel like they've got a lot of really neat stuff happening, and we better pick it up a notch here. Why don't you guys give us one more tune here before I wrap up with some final items to share tonight?
Okay, how about Red Wings?
Great job, you guys. Really, really great job.
Thank
Like,
you.
it's just love listening to this. Love listening to music. And what was the name of that song again?
Red Wings.
Ah, perfect. Okay. Well, we're going to wrap up. There's a couple last few things, and then we'll get you guys to give us one more song before we say sign off for tonight. But just sticking with the coastal conservation, I just want to share the intro. They've also done, the coastal conservation team has done some work with a podcast on Spotify, and I just want to play the intro. It's a 1-minute intro to help our members and our partners listening tonight about the other kind of work we're doing with the coastal conservation team.
Hey there, fellow ocean enthusiasts. Welcome to Aqua Agenda, your new favorite podcast all about British Columbia's aquatic conservation scene.
We are here to chat about everything from protecting the marine life to sharing inspiring stories from the people who live and breathe ocean conservation every day.
Whether you're a seasoned sailor or just dipping your toes into the world of conservation, Aqua Agenda is your go-to podcast for all things ocean-related in British Columbia, Canada.
So, grab your wetsuit and join us as we dive into the deep blue sea of British Columbia aquatic conservation. Subscribe now on your favorite podcast app and let's make some waves together.
Aqua Agenda, because every drop in the ocean counts.
Well, I would just say to our members listening tonight, that's a new option for you. It's on Spotify, Aqua Agenda. Sign up, listen. That's led by our coastal conservation team of Angel, Director of Coastal Conservation, of course, the manager, both Angel and Zia. You heard both their voices on there. And we'd love to have people just join in, listen in, and we're doing all we can to contribute to clean water, healthy water systems, healthy water ecosystems, supporting conservation. And that's exactly what the work we're going to continue to do is going to be shaped around. So great job to the team, and certainly very, very pleased to see that kind of work done by the Coastal Conservation Group. Now, just a couple other quick items. I also wanted to congratulate just on the team. People are just, there's so much going on in different departments of the organization. The Coastal Conservation Group was also recently with the Western Canada Marine Response Corporation at its site in Port of Vancouver, just doing a site tour, understanding coastal emergency response tools and the kind of boats and the systems and really what's in British Columbia to particularly help, I guess, advance water protection should a spill or some other marine crisis or emergency happen. So that was it. That's great to see our team on the ground doing that kind of work, of course. Next on here, I just want to say that they're also working with coastal conservation. There's BC Trails Day coming up on June 1st. So this Saturday, if you are in the Mission Creek Greenway area in Kelowna, come celebrate the trails in the regional park on BC Trails Day. So it's BC Trails Day. They are going to continue. They're just encouraging people to be involved. You're supposed to raid your closets and tickle trunks and wear your favorite festive and fancy hat and be entered for prizes for the most creative hats and outfits. So, get out there on the BC Trails Day, see if you can win a prize on I guess this Saturday from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 up in Kelowna at the Mission Creek Greenway Regional Park, supporting conservation. So, these things are happening all the time. I guess lastly, in terms of, I guess, some of the other information I was going to share is I just want to remind people of the job board that the Federation has created. And we do continue to put new information around our employment opportunities. These are some of the most recent ones. There's work with ATS Traffic, two particularly, repair technician, lane closure technician. Fortis is looking for a communications coordinator, and there's an operation system damage representative. There's many other job opportunities, but remember, members and partners, you can go to our website at bcmetis.com/job-board. And check out the opportunities if you're looking for work. So Renee, we're coming to the end of the show here. Why don't you give us one last song before I close the show off?
Okay, we'll play Cajun Fiddle.
Well, great job, guys, as always. You always taking it up a notch here. Cajun Fiddle finishing off with an energetic song. So, thank you, Renee, and everyone for the work you do every show. I know that people online may not realize you guys always volunteer every month. I just want to say thank you to yourself, Sean, and everyone. Please, I really appreciate the work and the contributions every show. Okay.
You're welcome.
And to everyone watching today, we wish all of you a great rest of your week. We know that we're coming to the end here. Tomorrow's Friday. Watch for Métis Coffee Talk. I would just encourage people to get involved. You can see lots of opportunities and ways. Share the information. Follow this Métis Coffee Talk show. Share it on your social media outlets. And just get involved in the work that we're doing. So with that, I just want to say thank you for joining me for this Thursday, May 30th. My name is Keith Henry, President of the BC Métis Federation. Have a great night, everyone, and I look forward to seeing you next month here live with Métis Coffee Talk. Have a good night, everyone.
Right.